We continue with our study through the book of Proverbs as we lead ourselves in a place of prayer. And we're presently looking at Proverbs chapter 5. We closed with Proverbs chapter 4, verse 4 last upper a week ago. And so we continue here in Proverbs verse 5, and it just talks about the danger of listening to people who have a sweet tongue, who mesmerize us with their words, who, as it were, are deceptive with their words. Uses the word here, the immoral woman. The whole of the chapter, it's titled The Peril of Idolatry, the Pitfalls of Immorality. But it's not just physical immorality, that's we can learn from this chapter. It just talks about people who are deceptive, who try to hypnotize us, bewitch us with their words. They create a false impression of who they are just to ensnare us, right? Just to entrap us with their words, and then be able to usurp us, and that's what the old chapter is warning us against. And we look at different things. And the way we war against this is pretty much by giving heed to the word of God. When we give heed to the word of God, it delivers us from these entrapments, right? And verse 5 continues to talk about the kind of entrapments that such deception can result in our life. And it says that the feet of such people go down to death, right? When people are mesmerizing us with their words, they are deceiving us, by trying to bewitch us, trying to use us, is they're not giving us life, right? Life does not work with witchcraft, right? Life works with coming to you and giving you the opportunity to be a part of what is being said. Gives you an opportunity to make a decision, to reason together. That's what life does. That's what God does. It says, come and let us reason together. That's what he does. That's what his word says, right? But when people try to mesmerize us, try to force us, try to hypnotize us into doing things, the Bible here says that it's towards death, is to kill us, to take life away from us, is to, so as it were, clip our wings from us being able to rise to the fullness of all that God has for us, right? Bible says our steps lay hold of hell, right? It's not of God. Verse 6 goes on and says, lest you ponder our path of way, right? Because when you give heed to such people, then you ponder their part of where you want to go, do the same thing like they do, right? Recently, there's been different news about some supposed prophet, that you have people for, people against, and it's very clear the word of God as to who is a prophet. It is not because you do miracles or supposed miracles or magic. It's Jesus Christ says, by their fruits we will know them. And those fruits have to be things that line up with the word of God, right? I've seen this person supposedly do crusade and be casting out the spirit of lions, the spirit of snake. Those are like gimmicks, right? Those are jesting, those are jokers, because we won't find that in the word of God. That's not the casting of spirit that the word of God tells us, but when we get carried away by the seeming spectacular, then we begin to follow in their ways. We begin to then see them as God, and then they can control our lives and we stop following and worshiping the true God, right?